we've been talking to the RFU quite recently, and one of the things that we have felt is that perhaps the RFU have fallen behind in terms of their understanding of how the domestic market has grown, and perhaps they haven't really appreciated the way the player pathway for Sevens players has changed. One example I used is Dan Bibby didn't come through the 15 circuit at all. He came through the 7 circuit. I believe he came through Marauders at the time. Do you think the RFU really understands the domestic market at the moment?
That's it. Whether they understand the market, I question whether they understand how to put a structure in place to get the best out of the market. I think it's probably a fairer thing because, back. And I know I hark back to when it was part of the development pathway into the 15s. There was a clear recognition of where it sat and where you were trying to get to. Where we are now is we're an England 7 specialist team that wants to win at all costs. Best 7s players in the country should be playing for England 7s. But what's the pathway for those players to become one of those lucky few? Because at the moment you just have to kind of stumble and find your way through this kind of 7 structure. Any number of 7s tournaments around the country and hope that you are seen. And I think where the RFU need to actually look at things is actually how do we build a pathway from school level through to leaving school, through to the kind of the big bad world when you're out playing for your local clubs or your national clubs, through into international 7s. Now, we had the school circuit through Roslin Park and there's a public school. What are they doing on the state school, the comprehensive side, which in theory is an even bigger untapped market, whereby if we've got some sort of structure in place there that channeled these players through in a very similar way that they do the Roslin Park 7s from the public school side, then you'll have a pool of players then that can then be unleashed into the so-called the domestic UK 7s market, and they can be picked up by any number of invitation sides. A lot of the invitation sides are running academy sides as well to try and grow their development pool to nurture their main teams. So, you just need to replicate that in a far more structured and complete way if you were at the RFU. And that's what I'd like to see, probably a bit more direction, a little bit more thought and clear strategy on how they're going to look to grow the game in that part. Then you look at the third strand, which is outside sports individuals that could possibly gravitate into the 7s game from, I don't know, let's take athletics as a prime example, because as we talked about, 7s takes away a lot of the technical parts of the game and strips it down to the basics. So, have England got a strategy, a pathway that will allow them to cherry pick or to give opportunities to individuals who are outside of the main rugby sport who could become world-class 7s players. Now, I was contacted in the summer by a local guy in Kent that had been in the Olympics. I think he'd done the 400 or the 200 and he had this bit of time off and wanted to try something new. Now, I'm not for 1 minute saying he might give up the world of athletics, but he might want to sample it, and he could be an unbelievable 7s winger.
Yeah.
But if he's given the opportunity for him to see what he wants to do and what he doesn't, and I don't see any forward thinking. I don't see any creative thinking in that area, because the end goal has to be that they want to play for England 7s, because it's an elite, it's the best in the country, the best 7s players. That's what they've set themselves out to be. They're a must-win team. So you need to look at all the angles and the avenues in order that you can create that. So if I was the RFU as well, how can I give Ben Ryan the best opportunity to have the biggest talent pool to pick the best 7s players from? Because the 15s players are gone. They've made that decision. So, we could sit there and say, well, we want Ben Foden, we want this, but financially they're making more money playing 15s. That's the career path they've taken, and I think that's the big part that people need to understand. It is a career pathway at the moment, because they made a very clear statement that the 2 games are not going to be able, they're not going to be able to do the 2 games at the same time because of the nature of the seasons.